You know how everyone is keep telling you just work harder or save more and eventually you get rich, right? Yeah, that's not the whole story. Here's the thing. I used to believe that hustle alone would guarantee a big fat bank account. But then I realized that there's a big difference between making money and actually building wealth. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. The untold truth that no one really wants to cover. You can grind day in and day out, but if you're not playing the right game, you'll just end up tired and frustrated. Real wealth is more than just about clocking in long hours. It's about strategies, mindset, and setting yourself up so money can work for you, not the other way around. So if you ever feel like you're missing something in most of the advices you got online or heard, that's because there is. So let's dive into the real deal. What it actually takes to build wealth and live life on your own terms. Number one, wealth versus income. Let me start by saying this. Having a high salary doesn't automatically mean you're wealthy. You could be making six figures a year, but if you're spending as much or even more, you're basically living paycheck to paycheck with a fancier price tag. And I remember back at work when I got a raise, I immediately started upgrading everything. Nicer apartment, new gadget, expensive dinner out. I didn't even stop to think about investing or saving. So on paper, my income looked great, but in reality, I was broke. I wasn't building any true wealth. Because of that, I would say wealth, in my opinion, is about ownership and growth. It's the difference between having cash come in and immediately go back out versus having money work for you through investment, asset, or even building a business that's making you money without needing you to be around 24/7 a day. And that's why sometimes you often see people who are making average salaries who still manage to buy property, grow their portfolio, and even retire comfortably. Meanwhile, someone with a bigger paycheck but zero strategies can be left wondering, where did all my money go? So the bottom line is this. Income is what you earn, wealth is what you keep and multiply. Sure, having a strong salary helps, but if you're not saving and investing strategically, you can end up stuck in the rat race, just with bigger bills and fancier toys. So before you focus on making more money, make sure you've got a plan to turn that income into real lasting wealth. Number two, mindset shift. Let's talk about mindset for a second, because if your views about money are off, it doesn't really matter how much you're making or how many side hustles you have. If you keep telling yourself, I'm not good with numbers, or investing is only for rich people, well, guess what? You'll subconsciously hold yourself back. I remember I used to roll my eyes to the idea that your thought can influence your bank account. But then I caught myself thinking things like, I'll never be able to afford that. And I realized how negatively that mindset was affecting my action. Once I flipped the script, telling myself, okay, maybe I can't buy that right now, but how can I figure out a plan to get there? Everything started to shift. My habit changed. I started researching budgeting tactic, reading up on basic investment strategies, and suddenly those money goals felt a whole lot more reachable. The truth is this, money is just a tool, not the root of all evil. In fact, if you ask me, I would say being broke is actually the root of all evil, because when you're broke, you essentially do not care anymore. In fact, you're more likely to commit any sort of crime because you just don't care, because you actually have nothing to lose. Whereas if you have money, it's what you do with it that matters. When you see money as a resource to create freedom, opportunities, and even help other people, you'll start making decisions from a place of empowerment instead of fear or doubt. And that's when the real wealth building momentum begins. So if you find yourself thinking, I'll never have enough, or that's not for me, try swapping that out with, how can I make this happen? And trust me, changing your mental narrative will have a big effect on your action. And once your head is in the right place, the rest tends to follow naturally. Moving on to number three, strategic saving and investing. See, just putting your money in a saving account isn't going to cut it if you're really serious about building wealth. And don't get me wrong, a rainy day fund is crucial, but if all you do is stack up cash without putting it to work, you'll barely keep up with inflation. And I remember I used to think saving alone was enough because I had a pile of money in my bank account, proud that I wasn't blowing it on random stuff. But over time, I realized that I was missing out on actual growth and my money was just sitting there getting destroyed by rising costs. And that's when I started looking into things like index fund, ETF, basically a basket of different stocks or bonds that spread out your risk. And it's way less scary than picking individual stocks and a lot more simpler for someone who's not a full-time financial nerd. And another game changer is understanding compound interest. It's like a snowball effect for your saving. At first, the return might seem tiny, but as time goes on, those returns can have their own return, and they can start to explode in the long run. The earlier you start, the more powerful it gets. It's one of those things you look back and think to yourself, why didn't anyone tell me this back when I was in school? So the key here is balance. Keep a cushion in your saving for emergencies, but don't let fear stop you from investing the rest. Whether it's real estate, the stock market, or even starting a small business, the goal is to make sure your money isn't just sitting there, it's busy growing and setting you up for the future. Yeah, although that's not financial advice, by the way, but that's what I wish someone would have tell me when I had all this money saved up in my account, thinking that that was the best financial responsibility. Next up is leveraging your skills and creating multiple income streams. It's one thing if you have a solid 9 to 5 that pays the bills, but if you're relying solely on one single paycheck, you're kind of one layoff or bad corporate decision away from total chaos. In fact, I've seen this firsthand with people who have stable jobs who get blindsided when the company decides to downside. And suddenly, their entire lifestyle was at risk. And that's why I'm all about finding ways to diversify how you make money. Think of it like investing, right? You wouldn't throw everything you had in a single stock, right? In the same way, you don't want to put all your earning potential in a single job title. Maybe you pick up a freelancing gig in the evening, or turn that hobby into a small side hustle, or even rent out an extra room on Airbnb. The idea is to have more than one way for money to flow into your pocket. And don't underestimate the value of stacking your skills. If you're a great designer, why not learn some basic coding to offer web design packages? If you're a natural salesman, think about creating an online course to teach to other people. These combinations can open doors to entirely new income streams that would have never existed if you stuck to one skill alone. And the cool part about having a multiple income stream is that it's a form of cushion. If one source of income dries up, say one of your client contract in, or your main job cuts your hours, you still got something else bringing you cash. It's like having a safety net without depending solely on a single income stream. Plus, it can make your work life a little bit more interesting because you're not stuck doing the exact same thing day in and day out. So don't be afraid to branch out. Leverage what you're already good at or learn a new skill that complement what you do. Diversify your income and you'll be way more prepared for whatever surprises life decides to throw at you. Finally, let's talk about lifestyle design because what's the point of all this wealth building if you're miserable and constantly chasing someone else's idea of success? It's easy to get caught up in grinding for more money and forget to actually live. I used to think hustling 24/7 was the only way, but then I realized that I was burning out and missing out on life. Wealth isn't just about the number in your bank account. It's about crafting a life that genuinely makes you feel good about yourself. That could mean traveling the world, buying a comfortable home, or even having enough free time to pick up a new hobby. The goal is to align your financial strategies with the things that makes you happy, not just to accumulate a bigger bank account for the sake of it. So now ask yourself, what does wealth allow me to do? Or what does it allow me to experience? Maybe it's the freedom to work remotely or the ability to help family members when they need support. For some, it's about giving back to a higher cause that matters to them. Whatever it is, use that as a guiding light. When your money moves or connected to a higher purpose, be personal fulfillment or making an impact, you'll find it a lot way easier to stay motivated and avoid lifestyle creep. And let's be honest, nobody likes a creep. The bottom line, wealth is a tool, not the end game. If you design your life around what truly resonates with you, the wealth part feels more rewarding and a whole less like a never-ending grind. After all, real freedom isn't just about escaping a 9 to 5, right? It's about having the resource and clarity to live life on your own terms. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you gain any sort of value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next video.